Chapter 6 begins with Daria arguing with someone over the phone. Frustrated, he hangs up, visibly upset. By coincidence, Ruby happens to be out for a run and bumps into Daria. Noticing the cold weather, she expresses concern and asks if he plans to head home since it's getting late. As she speaks, she notices his red, tear-streaked face. Nervously, Daria brushes it off, claiming he's just on a break and that something got in his eyes. Without another word, Ruby walks away. Daria assumes she's pretending not to notice his tears out of consideration for his feelings. Just as he prepares to leave for home, something warm presses against his cheek, a can of hot cocoa. Looking up, he sees Ruby holding it out to him, casually mentioning that he might catch a cold in this weather. Gratefully, he accepts the warm drink, and Ruby sits beside him. He feels embarrassed, knowing she had seen him cry earlier. As they sip their cocoa in silence, Ruby suddenly slaps his back, shocking and confusing him. Before he can react, she simply smirks and tells him that smiling suits him better. At that moment, Daria falls even deeper in love with her, wishing this moment could last forever. The next morning at school, Daria was lost in his thoughts, still criticizing himself for being skinnier and weaker than a girl. He did his best to act cool, trying to hide his insecurities. As he kept to himself, a girl approached him, asking for help with the assignment. Wanting to maintain his image, he coolly refused, masking his own feelings of inadequacy. Meanwhile, one of his friends complained that Daria wasn't spending enough time with them anymore, always busy because of his neighbor. This immediately flustered Daria. They had figured out his crush. Embarrassed, he yelled at them to stop exposing him. Sensing an opportunity, his friends pressed him for details, demanding to know what his crush looked like. Trying to play it off, Daria simply said, "She's sexy." Of course, what counts as sexy varies from person to person, but that was the only answer he gave before leaving them behind. His friends, true men of culture, chose to support him silently, respecting his feelings in their own way. As Daria and his friend walked together, they chatted about his crush and how he still didn't know her favorite food. Daria couldn't quite explain why he was acting this way. After all, this was his first time experiencing something like this. By yet another coincidence, they ran into Ruby, catching Daria completely off guard. His friend, however, immediately put the pieces together. This was her, the girl Daria had been talking about. Playing it cool, Daria's friend casually complimented Ruby's muscles and training. Ruby responded matter-of-factly, saying she mainly trained for work. Seizing the perfect opportunity, Daria's friend decided to play the role of the ultimate wingman. With a knowing grin, he asked Ruby about her favorite food. Daria could only watch in shock, realizing that his friend had just done him a huge favor. Now he owed him one, like a true friend should. Nice job, indeed. As they waited for Ruby's response, Daria leaned in and whispered to his friend, admitting that while he was grateful, the question had been way too sudden. But then, Ruby, with a slight blush on her cheeks, shyly admitted that she liked cakes with strawberries on top. It was so unlike her usual character that it caught Daria off guard. Still, he couldn't help but be grateful to have a friend like this guy. Now he knew something important. Ruby had a sweet tooth. Determined to ascend to true friend level 100, his friend casually mentioned that a new cake shop had just opened. In Daria's mind, this guy had already secured his spot as his future kid's uncle. He was setting things up perfectly. Daria fully expected him to suggest that Daria and Ruby should go together, but to his horror, his friend instead suggested that he take Ruby to the cake shop himself. Just like that, he plummeted from level 100 true friend to level 3 poop friend in an instant. To make things worse, his friend then asked Ruby if they could exchange contact information. Daria nearly lost all hope. Betrayal at its finest. But, oh, plot twist. It turned out to be a genius move. To avoid making it seem weird, his friend suggested that Ruby exchange contact info with Daria as well. And just like that, he skyrocketed back to level 99 true friend, one level short of perfection, because Daria's heart nearly dropped from the emotional roller coaster. After exchanging contact info, Daria finally had his crush's phone number. At first, he convinced himself it was just to talk about sweet shops. But before he knew it, he was already wondering what she was doing right now. Lying on his bed, He started typing a risky message. I want to hear your voice. Bro was really down bad, but before he could send it, he snapped out of it and immediately deleted the message, frowning at himself. Just as he was sulking, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Ruby. Thanks for today. That simple text alone sent his heart soaring. Overjoyed, he quickly typed out a reply, one that had to be as effortlessly cool as possible. Of course. That one on you, bro.